So let's turn to Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 10. And for Lutheran Christians, this is extremely important, and we need to get to know this, and we need to learn this, okay? So Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 10 says, For it is by grace that you have been saved. For this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not the result of works, so that no one may boast. Okay, I'm sure that you've all heard the word grace and all heard us talk about at Bethany the word grace and grace, what grace is and things of that nature. Okay, what grace is, eighth graders, is undeserved love. Okay, undeserved love. That's what grace is. And so what we believe as Lutheran Christians, okay, that we are saved by grace, okay? This is not our doing. It is a gift of God, okay? Not the result of works, okay? So it's good to go out and do good things. It's good to go down and take 2 turkeys down to the city mission when they ask for them on Thanksgiving. It's good to be able to, pick up the elderly lady who lives across the street to go and scoop her driveway after it snows. It's good to be able to be there for a friend. Okay. Those are things that help us to be holy and to build our faith. That's all great and that's all awesome. And we need to do that stuff as followers of Jesus. But the thing that we have to understand, eighth graders, the thing that we have to understand, that it is grace that saves us through our faith. All right. When we receive that gift of faith, that enables us, okay, to be able to understand and learn the things that Jesus is telling us, right? And the things that we need to understand, the ways we can be better followers of Christ, okay? Followers of Jesus. And once we commit ourselves to being followers of Jesus, that gift of faith will come to us and we'll understand what we're supposed to know, right? And that's what Paul's talking about here, meaning that no matter what happens, we can be sure, right? We talked about that last week. We can be sure of our eternal life with God in heaven. Okay? Even though we can't see anything, there's no way we can prove it. Okay? We are sure of our eternal life with God in heaven through grace. Because no matter what we do in this life, we are saved by grace because of our faith, which is brought to us by the Holy Spirit, the gift of faith. Okay? So, really quick, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get your cell phones out. Get your cell phones out, and we're going to do a little thing. Okay? So, what I want you to do is I want you to send a text message to mom and dad. All right? And what I want you to write in your text message to mom and dad is, I am saved by grace through faith. Okay? I want you to type that text message out. I am saved by grace through faith. And I want you to send that to mom and dad. Okay? Just hit send. All right? For those of you who do not have a phone with you, you should have some note cards there. I want you to write that on the note card. I am saved by grace through faith. Write that down on the note card. Okay? And I want you to take that home to mom and dad and have mom and dad sign it. And bring it back next week to class. Okay? So what we're going to do, this is your homework. What we're going to do is if your parents respond to your text message, I don't care what they say. They could have a question mark. They could have a big heart. They could send you a picture with like a heart, They could respond by saying, I love you. They could respond by saying, what the heck is this? They could respond by saying, who are grace and faith? They could, I don't care what the response is from your parents. I just want you to get a response from your parents from your text message. But that's all I want you to say. I am saved by grace through my faith. Don't say anything else. And then when they respond to you, I want you to save that text message. Save it in your phone. Because when you come back next week, I want you to show your group leader that saved message. Okay? I want you to show your group leader that message. And those of you who are taking the cards home, you bring those cards back with your parent's signature on it. All right. And so if you have a text message from one of your parents, or you have the card that's signed by one of your parents, okay, you are going to be entered in a drawing. All right. And the drawing is for a winner. The winner of the drawing gets a $6 gift card to Thalla's Coffee House next week. All right, so this is my road of life, and I'm going to see if you guys can see this, right? So here's a road, right? And okay, and we walk down this road of life. All right? We walk down this road of life. All right? And it starts when we're just a baby, our life. We know that, right? We're born. We are born, okay? And as we walk down that road of life, okay, we walk down, and guess what? Jesus is with us. Jesus is with us all the time. Now, here's the key, 8th graders, okay? Jesus was perfect. Jesus was without sin. He was both 100% man, and he was both 100% God, okay? And he is the only person that has ever lived on the face of the planet that has been without sin. So Jesus walks down the very center of this road, okay? Jesus walks down the very center of this road. And there's an invitation, okay, where we can walk with him. The only problem is that we are not perfect, right? We are full of sin, because that is what happened with Adam and Eve, right? Sin came into the world, and then for the rest of the time, we will not be able to go without being sinners, right? So we can't walk right down the center of the road with Jesus, but we can kind of walk off to the side. And then, maybe we're baptized, right? Baptized, okay? And then we start school, like kindergarten, okay? And then we go to junior high school, and that's awesome, okay? Then we go to high school, right? And then we maybe go to college, or we go into the workforce, or we go to the Army, or the Navy, or the Marine Corps, or the Air Force. I love being able to say Space Force. That's awesome. So anyway, that's after high school. And then maybe we find somebody who we really love, and we get married, right? Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes people get married, sometimes people don't. I don't know, but that's maybe part of your walk in life. That's going to happen, right? And then what happens, 8th graders? Then we start having kids, and we have kid number 1, right? And we have kid number 2, and then we have kid number 3, and kid number 4, and kid number 5, and kid number 6. Oh my goodness, right? You probably better have that discussion before you get married on how that's going to work. So we're starting to build our family, right? Maybe for some of us that doesn't happen. Maybe some of us take a different route in life. I don't know, right? But that's part of the road of life that a lot of us will go down as we get older and older and older, right? Oh, and I forgot a really important one. What am I talking about, right? Somewhere right in here is confirmation, right? Very important. I can't believe I missed that. We're in confirmation class. I can't believe I missed that. That's somewhere right in here between junior high and high school, okay? So then we get up here, and then we maybe retire, okay? We start having grandkids, right? Okay, but then eventually, 8th graders, we all know this is no big secret, but eventually, and it may happen here, it may happen here, it may happen here, sometimes it happens here, unfortunately, but eventually we are going to die, okay? Eventually that will happen. That is something that we know will happen eventually in our lives, okay? So what we believe, 8th graders, right, as Lutheran Christians, that because of grace, we know that we are saved because of our faith. God's undeserved love And Jesus's death on the cross, where he redeemed us, where he made us right with God and made us eligible for grace, we know that we will get to spend eternity with God in heaven. That's very important, 8th graders. Okay? So let me throw a twist in there for you. We know that no matter what happens, we know that through our faith, we are saved. We are made good with God. Okay? By grace, which is undeserved love. Okay? So let me do this, right? Because there is a little, there is some stuff that we have to talk about. Okay? So, right? So we know that we are not perfect like Jesus is. We are far from it. Sometimes we're pretty good. Sometimes things go pretty well, okay? But for the most part, and this is going to happen, 8th graders, we're walking down the road with Jesus, right? And sometimes we kind of go over here, right? And Jesus is still walking down the center of the road. And then something happens, we come back to Jesus, right? Okay, now we're good with Jesus again, right? And then we start to go back out here again, right? And then we come back, oh goodness, we got to get back here again, right? And then we're going a little bit, and we're doing pretty good for a long time, and then, oh my goodness, we start to wander out here, and maybe this time we really get off the path a ways, right? But we know that Jesus is always there, walking right down the middle of the road. He is always there, no matter what. He is always there for you, 8th graders. He promised that to us. He promised it beyond a shadow of a doubt. We know that, right? And then that option for us to always run back to Jesus is always there, no matter what. It's always there, 8th graders, okay? And then we get good again, and we're going down, and hopefully, maybe when we get a little bit older, okay, it's easier to stay over here. But when we're younger, yeah, you know what? We're all over the place when we're younger, right? When we get older, things get a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to stay on the road with Jesus, right? But we can never be right in the middle with Jesus. We can never walk right down the middle of the road, because we are all sinners. And that no matter how hard we try, nobody's perfect, 8th graders. Nobody is perfect, right? Everybody will fall off the road at some point in time or another. Everybody will stray away from Jesus at one point in time or another, okay? I'm telling you that right now. That is a truth. And no matter how hard we try, I'm not saying that everybody's going to end up over here, but I'm saying that it happens, okay? Maybe your road looks something like this, where you're able to maintain this all the way through your life, and you do a really good job of staying as close to the center of the road as you can with Jesus. That's awesome, 8th graders. That's really cool. I hope that happens for you. But for a lot of people, that's not the way it happens, right? And for a lot of people, there's a lot of wandering. And you know what else is out here, 8th graders? You know what else is out here? I'm going to change colors just to make it look. Okay, you know what this is? You know what this is? Here, let me draw these. Okay? Okay, I'm going to put a whole bunch of these out here. You know what these are, 8th graders? These are rocks, right? These are rocks in the road, okay? These are rocks, and we call these rocks sin, all right? Sin. So sin is everywhere in our world, 8th graders, right? Sin is everywhere. And what sin does, 8th graders, it separates us from God, okay? It separates us from Jesus, right? So we're walking down, and all of a sudden, whoops, we hit that sin rock, right? And then boom, we're all the way out here, right? And then we're coming back, we're trying to find our way back to Jesus, and boom, we're back out here again. And then we're coming like this, we're trying to get back to the middle again, and we're doing it, but then boom, we're all the way back out here again. And then we're trying to find our way back, and boom, we get knocked out again, right? Okay? So the important thing that we have to know, 8th graders, is that there is grace. There is undeserved love from God. And Jesus understands that all of this is going to happen. And that's why he came to be with us in this world. That is why he came, and he died on the cross for us, right? To make us right with God, to make us righteous, okay? And all of this other junk over here is going to happen, okay? Maybe more to some and maybe more to others. And you know what's really sad, 8th graders, what's really, really sad is that person that's able to walk as close as they can to Jesus, you know, down the road, because of sin in this world, okay? Because of sin in this world, There's sin here. And sometimes, even though when people are trying really, really, really hard to lead a Jesus-like life, they can't afford sin because something happens, right? Something happens that screws it up, right? And it's not really their fault, but sin being part and living in this world. And you guys will understand this when you get older, I promise you. But being a part of this world, okay, we can't get around it. So, with all that being said, we're going to read one more Bible verse and then I'm done, okay? So everybody turn to Luke chapter 23, verses 39 through 43. Jesus was crucified with two other guys who were criminals, okay? One guy on his left and one guy on his right. And these guys were bad dudes. They deserved to be there, right? They deserved their sentence and their punishment for the things they had done. And so they were being put to death. And so it was an execution. And Jesus was the third person to be executed that day. And in verse 39 through 43, this is what happens. Okay, it says, one of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him, Jesus. Aren't you the Christ? Save yourself and us. But the other criminal rebuked him. He rebuked the other criminal. Okay? He said, don't you fear God? Since you are under the same sentence, we are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong. And then he said to Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Okay? And Jesus answered him, I tell you the truth. Today, you will be with me in paradise. Today, you will be with me in paradise. So let's take a look at this really quick, 8th graders, right? So we have a criminal, right, who has probably spent a good part of his life, okay, a good part of his life way out here, okay? And he probably lived a life way out here, far away from the middle of the road, okay? And he's all the way out here. He commits his whatever he did, right? And he's sentenced to death. And at the last moment of his life, the last moment of his life, he asked Jesus for help. He says, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. At the last moment, he ran back to Jesus. Okay? Who knows? I mean, he may have seen Jesus preach at some time. He may have, been following him around, even though he was a criminal. He was following him around, listening to some of the things that Jesus was saying. I don't know. All I know is that at that moment in time, that criminal ran back to Jesus. Okay? And what does Jesus do? He gives us the greatest example of grace ever that has ever happened on the face of the planet. What I'm saying is that Jesus showed us an example of what grace looks like. It's undeserved love. This criminal did not deserve the love that Jesus showed to him at that moment. The redemption of his sins, right? He did not deserve that, right? He lived a life way out here. And he did not deserve what Jesus did for him that day. But at the last moment, he ran to Jesus, right? And Jesus extended that grace to him, that extended that love to him, right? And so what I'm saying, 8th graders, is not only is that a promise that we have, the promise of grace, undeserved love from God, that because of our faith, right, We know that we are saved by that. But grace is something that you can extend, especially in little things. Open the door for somebody, smile at somebody, help somebody pick up their books, help somebody if they're having trouble studying for something, be a tutor for somebody, show them grace, show them kindness, show them mercy, show them understanding. That is what it means to be a good follower of Jesus. That's what Jesus wants us to do.